And something that I've been kind of working through a little bit has been one of our traditional welcomings, which is actually part of our Edge of the Woods protocol. So I'm going to talk about it in English, I guess, essentially. And the idea is that, traditionally when we would welcome people into our village and have people come for an audience with our people and things like that, it would be customary that as opposed to them just rolling up on the door and knocking and, welcoming themselves in, they would set up a fire and they would kind of set up a place at the edge of the woods. And so before they would come in, they would set up a smoke fire and let people know that they wanted to have an audience with us. And then we would send somebody down to, check in on them, see what they had going on, what was up, and then, essentially put them through a protocol and a process of properly welcoming them in. And so the key to this whole process is actually, an act of reciprocity in terms of, us being a host and you all being a guest. And this is a little bit of a response to the land acknowledgements that a lot of corporations, universities, places have all kind of become a bit of a fad thing. And really what I wanted to do was actually push back against those and let people know that we, as Indigenous people, are still here and that we do have our protocols and that those of you who are not from here originally are guests, okay? And you have a responsibility as a guest. And so what we would do is, as an act of compassion, we would come down and we'd put you through 3 matters and we would use wampum. I'm not sure how many of you were able to come and visit us when we had the wampum exhibit that was here for the last 6 months, but it was a really important exhibit for us, moving and transitioning from my father as the director here and Michael Galvin, taking on a new role and myself taking on a new position here. But wampum was something that we used for diplomacy in a lot of ways, and it had a lot of different meanings. And so when we were coming up with ideas and concepts for the actual wampum exhibit, it really wasn't one thing that we could kind of put our finger on as to like what wampum really does. But it could be part of ceremony, it could be part of a peace-giving, it could be diplomacy. And so as I'm talking about this edge of the woods, one of the things that it would act as is something that would hold, true meaning, it would hold our words. And so we would address 3 different matters. The first thing we would do is we would take, we would welcome in guests. And what this is also part of a condolence. And part of that condolence actually goes into, when we're actually raising up our leadership and things like that. A new chief or something would be put in, and we would actually put the family through a condolence before we would raise them up into a position. And with that, the first thing that we would do is we would recognize that maybe you would experience some hardships, maybe while you are traveling here today, or maybe over the past month, or maybe even just as far back as even like COVID times and things like that. You may have had some difficulties that you've experienced. And we want to recognize and see that, you're a human being and that you're a person and you travel this earth the same way that we do. And that in those issues that you may be experiencing, your vision may have been clouded, because of tears, because of you being in mourning and the challenges you may be facing. And so we want to appreciate our time together. And maybe it's just for the time that we're together for this day, but we want to make sure that your eyes are clear, so that way you can see clearly, you can see the beauty that, the Creator has provided for us here. And so that's one of the first things we want to acknowledge. So we would take a soft cloth and wipe away the tears first, so that you could see clearly. And then the next thing we would want to address is that oftentimes when you're in mourning, you don't want to hear things. You kind of lose sight of things. You kind of lose track of what's happening around you. You've kind of become very closed and shut in. And maybe you're not listening to what people are telling you. Maybe people are trying to encourage you to kind of get through it, work through it. They want you to just get over it, but you don't want to hear that anymore. You're sick of those things. But today, for this time that we're together, we want to take like a soft feather and we'll clear out your ears for you so you all can hear. And so that way, when we're transmitting information back and forth to one another, now we can see each other clearly, and now we can hear each other clearly. And so that's a big part of that. So that way, when we're talking and we're having these dialogues and things, there's no misunderstanding. And also, in reference to the fact that we have instruments and music and things like that being played today, it's important that you get to hear the beauty of all of that, and also be able to see those things. And then finally, the last piece that we would offer is we would think about, when you're in mourning, the same thing. You have a blockage maybe in your throat and you can't speak clearly and you're not able to convey your words. You've been mourning, you've been crying. And so we want to offer you a cool drink of water. And that cool water will, open you up and then allow you to be able to speak clearly and be able to express your words and, your ideas that you may have. And so that's going to be the big part of this, is actually addressing those 3 matters. So now you can see, you can hear, and now you can speak. And the other thing is that you want to recognize and acknowledge all the beautiful things that are around us. You know, when you step out of here today, the rains, you know, are kind of, you know, speaking to the transition of the seasons and things like that are happening, cleansing the earth and getting it ready for, you know, its next process and things. So all of these things we want to be mindful of and acknowledge while we're here today. And I think that, you know, having an opportunity to speak to both Kae and Rosalie, I think you guys have a very exciting show in front of you that's coming up. And I think a lot of these messages are going to be conveyed and being exemplified through some of the movements or the sounds and things. So it's important for you all to listen and see. And so one of the things I always tell my guests, or, you know, when we have folks that come here as well, and it was something that I learned as a child, is that, you know, we address, you know, three matters, you know, the eyes, the ears, and the mouth. And so you got two of a couple of those and one of the others, right? And so you have to look as much or twice as much with the eyes, listen twice as much, and hear with the ears. And you only got one mouth, so close that thing up and listen. So, there you go, we'll pass it off.
Well, good afternoon, and this is just a wonderful audience. We're very, very pleased. I'm Kae Wilbert from the Eastman Community Music School Wind Quintet, and we gather today to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day by recognizing the work of contemporary Native American composers, choreography, and storytelling. This is the second year of celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day in the greater Rochester area. Italian Heritage Day is now celebrated the previous weekend, and many cities throughout the U.S. are changing the emphasis of the second Monday in October to Indigenous Peoples Day. Native people today are finding many ways to embrace their cultural knowledge and understandings through arts, education, and through cultural institutions like Ganondagan, through healing programs like the Native American Community Services in Buffalo. Native people are finding vibrant ways to come together to learn and thrive in each other's presence. Here at Ganondagan, we have for many years celebrated contributions to all forms of visual arts. Beautiful, beautiful drawing, painting, sculpture, basket making, beadwork, fabric arts, and on and on. Through music and traditional dance, traditional singers, drum groups, country and western, folk and rock, vocal jazz. Today, we are celebrating Native American classical music and contemporary dance, and particularly three Native American composers who have recognized their own cultural knowledge through compositions. We feel it's important for Native classical composers' music to be heard by a wider audience, but we particularly want young people who may be involved in their own school music programs to know that there are Native composers working to bring us music that reflects their own communities and cultures.
Bujo, Ani, Tanse, Okay, Niue. We are reclaiming our indigenous languages. My name is Daystar Rosalie Jones, and I am the director of Daystar Dance Company, located in Rochester, New York. Our full name is Daystar Contemporary Dance of Indian America. The company was formed in 1980, and I am so pleased to be working with Kae Wilbert. She invited me to join her in this project, and we have actually been working toward today since July. So we've put in a good deal of thought and effort to bring you what we hope will be a unique presentation of Native American, Indigenous dance, music, and story. And I do want to mention that I am Chippewa Cree, born in Montana on the Blackfeet Reservation. I want to say just a brief remark about contemporary Native American dance. And in that term, I'm referring to what I originally called Native modern dance, now being called Indigenous contemporary dance. And it is a new genre of performance, created and performed by the Native people of North America. Lloyd New was the founder of, I'm sure many of you know, the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And that is the first opportunity I had to work with Louis Ballard. So our association goes back 50 years, actually. And you will see one of his compositions choreographed by Daystar, Ritmo Indio, as the finale of today. He said in his development of education, higher education for Native people, that cultural difference is actually the basis of the creative work. We connect to the oral tradition, to the dance, to the songs, to the cultural beliefs of our people. So today, I want to start with a story from the Menominee people. Early in my career, I was able to travel a great deal, mostly across the West, but also throughout Canada. So I had the opportunity to learn from many different cultural, tribal nations. So that is why I am able to present to you today the Menominee snake dance. I learned it from Jim Mustache many years ago in Wisconsin. We're going to start with the story of the snake dance. It is said that there was a man who had a pet snake. Now, we are not told how this man and this snake came to meet and to be companions, but that is what happened. Over the years, the snake and the man kept running into each other, maybe on the trail, maybe in the forest, maybe beside the lake, but it became clear that they wanted to be together. So the man built this little shelter outside his house for the snake, perhaps, and the snake kept unwanted pests away. So one day, many years later, the snake realized that he was going to die. So the snake went out and slithered and crawled up to the top of a high mountain. And at sunrise, he spoke to the Creator. He said, "The old man and I have been together for so many years. I know that I am going to die, but I do not want to go to the place of the snakes. I want to go to the place of the people. That way, when the old man dies and arrives, I will be there to meet him. And we will be there together forever with each other and with our friends and relatives. The Menominee snake dance. And I want to say, this is the way the snake dance is done. Everything stops and you bring out the river. And this is called the river of life. And the dancers or the people are asked to dance down to the river of life. The Creator said, if you want to go to the place of the people, you will have to obey one request. I will break you up into parts and you will dance down to the river. Don't be too anxious. Dance back and then dance down again and finally jump over the river. And then you will be in the place of the people. And then, when they all arrived at the place of the people, it was like coming home. And then they were able to dance the friendship dance, the round dance. We don't have the round dance music. So I will provide. Forward, back, one more time, and back, and yes, thank you. The drum never fails. Can you imagine a time when animals and humans could speak to one another? There was such a time when, in the beginning, Grandfather Creator lowered the first man from the sky to the earth. Some say that first man was called Anishinaabe. Grandfather Creator told Anishinaabe to walk the earth and to name every prairie, mountain, river, plant, and animal. As he walked the earth, first man began to notice every creature had a companion, but he was alone. Anishinaabe sat down with the Creator and said, I have obeyed you and finished all that you asked me to do, but I have seen all the animals come in pairs. Why are there no others like me? Grandfather considered this and said, I will send you someone to walk, talk, and be with you. I will send you Maingan, the wolf. The two of you will be as brothers to one another, and together the two of you will walk the earth and come to know all of it. Elder spoke again. The time has come for you to separate your paths. Each of you must now go on a different journey. Then grandfather gave a prophecy. In the days and years ahead, both of you will be misunderstood and feared by the new people who will later be coming to this land. Mayangan and First Man Anishinaabe obeyed the Creator and did go their separate ways. Forever and up to the present day, we must remember the Creator's words. What happens to the wolf happens to the original people of this sacred island, Turtle Island. This is the teaching that was given to us by Grandfather Creator in the beginning. The final dance on this section of the program is called E-yah-pah-hah, Sky Woman of the Anishinaabe. Now there was a woman spirit called E-yah-pah-hah, or Sky Woman, residing alone in the skies. In her loneliness, she asked the great mystery for a companion, and the request was granted. E-yah-pah-hah and her companion lived together until she conceived. Now it is known that the spirit woman was a skilled worker and knowledgeable, but she was also a curious woman. One day, she leaned too far out over a hole in the sky world. At that moment, losing her balance, she instinctively reached out and took hold of an overhanging branch of a bush growing at the edge of the sky hole. But it was not enough. E-yah-pah-hah began to fall through the sky. Below, among the waters, the animals and birds and fish sensed that something extraordinary was happening. They saw the woman falling. In desperation, they persuaded the great turtle to rise from the depths to the surface. At the same time, the birds of the air rose up to meet her and guided her down to the back of the great turtle. When E-yah-pah-hah became rested, she began and made a request. E-yah-pah-hah asked for a morsel of soil. Why did she need that soil? The muskrat was the least of the animals, but more courageous than the others and less questioning. He came forward and dove into the depths. It was a long way down, but then, nearly out of breath, he felt the soil at the bottom of the great water. He floated up to the surface, and a few pellets of soil fell from his open paw. E-yah-pah-hah took those pellets and with her finger traced it around the rim of the turtle's shell. Then she breathed upon it, and the soil spread, covering the great turtle's back, growing into the land we now call Turtle Island. On that island, E-yah-pah-hah planted the seeds she had brought with her. Because of this, the Anishinaabe revere the sweetness and medicinal powers of the strawberry plant. In good time, Gijigokwe gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. And when these children had grown to adulthood, Gijigokwe's work on Turtle Island was done. With strength and great calm, she returned to her home in the sky. Now, whenever the moon shines, the Anishinaabe honor Gijigokwe as Grandmother Moon, the first of mothers.
Next, we're going to have the Eastman Community Music School Wind Quintet play some pieces for you. And I want to share a little bit about the composers that you're going to be hearing. Okay. Dr. Louis Ballard was enrolled in both the Quapaw and Cherokee nations, both of Oklahoma. Throughout his growing years and college music studies, he continually was involved in his mother's Quapaw community through ceremony, dancing, and playing at festivals. Dr. Ballard taught at the Institute of American Indian Arts, where he was director of music. He had a chorus at IAIA called E-yah-pah-hah Singers. Dr. Ballard was later appointed as a national curriculum specialist for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, where he wrote and published his most valuable contribution to education, American Indian music for the classroom. Dr. Ballard has written a great deal of music for all classical organizations, orchestra, ballet, opera, concert band, etc. While his music has had limited attention here in the US, a full evening of his pieces was performed in a concert in Bonn, Germany at Beethoven's home. He also was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. Dr. Ballard doesn't write typical melodies that are recognizable. He didn't want to simply write down known Native melodies, but rather write music about Native people's lives or about Native history. He has written a piece for dance and performed by the Toronto Dance Theatre called Maid of the Mist. He also wrote a piece for percussion ensemble called Incident at Wounded Knee, depicting the Wounded Knee Massacre. Dr. Dawn Avery is an enrolled Mohawk Turtle Clan and teaches at Montgomery College in Maryland. She has an extensive performing career as a cellist and is also a prolific composer, receiving numerous commissions and awards. We will be playing her piece in honor of ghost dancers, and these are words from Dr. Avery. This piece is based on my deep respect for the music and prayer of the ghost dance time of the Lakota people. For some, it is believed that the earth will someday be regenerated, bringing back the buffalo and game that used to roam freely. Songs were frequently sung to help plants, trees, and flowers prosper. Dances were done to help the earth thrive, sustain available water, and make the plants come alive again. The first movement's theme is inspired by a Lakota chant about the morning star. After a series of dances, the star and closing song mark the end of the final dance. The second movement was inspired by songs to the spotted eagle, Wampli Gleshka, the bird that flies the highest, able to get closest to the creator, Wangkang. Dr. Charles Shadle is an enrolled member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. He teaches composition, music theory, and music history at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he serves as a senior lecturer in music and as theory coordinator. Numerous institutions, including SUNY Buffalo, the Lake George Opera Festival, the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra, among other institutions, have commissioned his work. For the National Film Preservation Foundation, he has composed 6 film scores, all of which are commercially available, and he has composed 4 symphonies. This year, the Friends of Ganondagan and the Music Educators Wind Ensemble of the Eastman Community Music School co-commissioned Dr. Shadle to create a piece for Wind Ensemble to honor and commemorate the International Wampum exhibit hosted here at Ganondagan. The piece called Granaries was premiered on our August 1st concert held at Rush Henrietta High School Auditorium. And here we are, the bassoon group with Dr. Shadle. Dr. Shadle's Choctaw heritage is reflected in works ranging from the large-scaled Oklahoma Choctaw Cycle for chamber ensemble to the short and accessible Choctaw Animals piano pieces, now edited for Wind Quintet, which we are playing today.
Now we are here to see Ritmo Indio, which I have wanted for years to choreograph. And thanks to Kae Wilbert, I was given that opportunity. And I hope you enjoy it. I want to just say one more thing before we finish, because this is our grand finale, that if you would want the ECMS Woodwind Quintet and/or the Daystar Dance Company to come out to your school, your community, university, festivals, whatever it might be, we are totally anxious to do that. This is Indigenous Peoples' Day. It's a very important day. It's a recognition of who we are before everyone in North America. But, you know, we're here all year long. We would like to come out and contribute to the learning of young people and adults of Native American
There you go.
culture. Thank you. Native American culture and learning, because a workshop. A workshop. Well, you'll remember this part of the program. In a workshop or in a lecture, we're working one-on-one in a traditional way. It's the instructor with the learner. And that is the way we learn. We learn one-to-one. We don't learn out of a book. The oral tradition, the dances, the stories, you are not going to find in a book. You will find them in the performers, in the dancers, in the singers, in the instrumentalists, in the dancers, in the storytellers. So that is the only way we can convey to you who we are. So I'm going to say, also, I need to acknowledge the musicians and the dancers. My dancers have, over the last 3 months, rehearsed each one for an average of 25 to 30 hours each to prepare these dances. And I would say that the musicians, I'm sure, have contributed that much as well. Time, effort, body, mind, spirit. And that totals with 10 performers, that is 300 to 400 hours to prepare this show. Thank you very much.